Fisker's electric SUV got a terrible review. It's turned into a whole saga.
This might be the single weirdest automotive reviewing experience I've ever had. And I was trying to think if maybe there's a superlative to explain it, like, oh, this is the weirdest car I've ever tried, or this is the quirkiest car that I've used so far, but I think it's just the worst car I've ever tested. This is the Fisker Ocean. You might not have heard of it. It's a pretty new car, pretty new company. The fundamentals are actually fine. Like, I actually think it's a pretty handsome trim, a pretty good looking car. Press buttons, but when you're turning the steering wheel, you can actually accidentally press these buttons. This one doesn't do much if you're not in cruise control, but this one will literally restart the song you're playing. That's kind of annoying. But then of course there's all the rest of the software in this car, which, to be totally honest, is a mess. And first of all, I don't think I've started this car one time and not gotten some error. Little things like Bluetooth I've had an issue with in this car. The first time I drove this car home, I tried to pair my phone and I just constantly got Bluetooth pairing failed issue over and over and over again. It would try to pair and it would just show the issue on repeat over and over, so I just gave up. I just drove home in silence. Then the next day, I was driving to the studio and out of nowhere, I hear a Waze alert come through the car speakers. And I was like, wait, did it just start working? Oh, okay. So I was like, great, I guess it paired. I started playing music. The speakers are pretty decent. Not a lot of subwoofer, not a lot of bass, but they're fine. It's a quiet car. I can hear everything. And then 5 minutes later, it just cuts out and the Bluetooth has disconnected again. And using energy from the battery, it turns red with this pulsing notification. And then when you decelerate, it turns blue. But when you're right on that middle point of the throttle where you're easing off or easing back on around that 0 point between regen and acceleration, the whole screen flashes between red and blue, which can be pretty distracting, especially at night. And I've also had the driver assistance systems fail on me several times. I've had the driver attention thing beep at me many times before. This car also doesn't seem to have hill hold. So brake hold is a pretty common feature in new cars where you pull up to a stoplight, depress the brake, and it will hold the car in place. It's electric, it should be able to do that. This car, you pull up to a hill, it will literally start rolling backwards if you take your foot off the brakes. It doesn't have brake hold. I found that insane. It doesn't automatically unlock, it doesn't wake up, nothing happens. I press unlock. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 times for it to actually wake up and unlock the car. That's weird. But then at least you have this button on the top of the steering wheel where if you press and hold it, it will do the California mode thing. At least it's supposed to. That's what that button's supposed to do. The list goes on and on and on.
Praise K, March 7th, 2024, 9:45 a.m. EST. Marques Brownlee called the Fisker Ocean the worst car I've ever reviewed. Courtesy of Autofocus. YouTuber Marques Brownlee called Fisker's EV the worst car I've ever reviewed, and his negative review has turned into quite the saga online. Brownlee's lackluster review of the Fisker Ocean SUV generated over 4.3 million views on YouTube over the past 2 weeks. In the video, Brownlee points out several software-related concerns, including warning lights that came on multiple times and the inability to monitor the car's solar roof output. He also ran into repeated issues with the car's key fob, among other complaints about the vehicle.